Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the whole concept of schooling in America came out of slavery. The whole thing was financed by slavery. And those institutions, many of them are still here. And even if they weren't here, the whole concept of it still came out of slavery. And all of these buildings would not exist if it was not for slavery. And maybe some of these things, like these closings of schools, maybe that is just the Most High's way of eliminating these institutions that came out of such an ugly thing that occurred in this country. America did slavery in a way that defies how it was supposed to be in the Bible. And they went completely overboard, just lost their minds. And maybe it's just time for this kind of stuff to go. Your education ain't good anyway. It's not like it's top notch. You have never given top notch education in this country. That's why so many other nations can outshine you when it comes down to education. Because, see, y'all under this guise of if we keep people dumb, we can control them. Actually, that's not really necessarily true. But there's a trend, ladies and gentlemen, going on in this country. And one college or university is closing in America per week. And to add insult to injury, students and faculty, they are not even being warned that closures are coming. And y'all, you know, they're upset because the regulators of these colleges and universities are doing and saying nothing. It just goes back to what I was telling y'all, poor leadership. We have been looking at centuries of poor leadership, centuries, and it's still happening. So you would think because people are paying for college or they have scholarships, you have faculty that that are on payroll, that it would be appropriate if you know the school is closing for you to give fair enough warning. But universities, they stayed long enough, they claim and they stay open long enough for students to, do what they need to do, but it's showing that that's not true at all. So in less than 2 years, colleges and universities are shutting their doors. And, I think that's jacked up. I think y'all should be sued for doing this to people. So, one example, Wells College said it would cease operations this year. The group of young women plan to transfer to a third school, hopefully the last, in Michigan in the fall. So, they're trying to, I guess they don't have the money to keep it open anymore. Yeah, okay. So another school is Victoria Herbert, and their students are being transferred in New York. So another thing, they're saying also the private schools, some of them are closing. You know, you born this whole thing out of slavery. That's why I'm not surprised it's falling apart. I think all of these institutions that you brought up through slavery, I believe they're all going to fall eventually. There's no righteousness in what you did. There is no righteousness in your education. That's why the entire time you've been trying to run these institutions and schools, it's been falling apart the whole time. I remember one year, I think I was about in the seventh or eighth grade, they had a strike, y'all, that went on from September until December. We literally had no school from September to December because the teachers were on strike. And as a result, we had to go to school until June, the very last day of June. And not even mentioning along the way, I've seen teachers get fired for mistreating students, or some of them are just shift from one school to the next. It's just a mess. It's always been a big mess. Always. So, students are saying they're completely caught off guard. Faculty members at University of Arts, and this is over in Philadelphia, said they abruptly announced that they would be closing in June, right? And it was dissolving everything. So, two universities, the University of the Arts students, they said they learned about the news not from the school, but from the media. So they're closing the University of the Arts and didn't even tell the students, didn't tell the faculty, nothing, just closing. So right now there's a class action lawsuit against the university. Students and college administrators, they said, violated consumer protection laws and failed to notify regulators that the institution was financially unstable. The university and a lawyer for the school did not respond to email. So, I mean, unexpected closures. Wow. So, colleges, they actually fold all the time in America, and a lot of people don't know that. These colleges close their doors in this country all the time. They close. And it's been this way the entire time. But when we hear this, we think, because we don't hear these stories that often, we think it does not happen, but it does. So they said a big time that these institutions were folding was 2008. There are other indications that the trend may actually in 2024 accelerate. So you have one college or university closing per week, but they're expecting that to ramp up. Over the first half of this year, roughly one higher education institution per week announced its closure. a crisis in college financial aid this year, which will have downstream effects on enrollment, especially at smaller schools, could make things worse. In the past few years, the Biden administration has taken an aggressive approach to college oversight, picking up on work Trump administration officials paused or undid. Though Biden made student loan forgiveness a hallmark of his agenda, the president has also been adamant about fixing the root causes of massive student debt. A key piece of the puzzle is preventing colleges from closing with little or no warning. So it's a challenge, and people want something done about these closures. They can't really stop a school from closing, but they can do something about the way they notify people. They can do that. So they just go on talking about the tragic stories of student and faculty saying, how upset and disappointed they are to see their education not being respected and these places just closing like it's nothing. Mm-mm-mm. So I can understand how people are upset and how they're not even giving a lot of warning, like the University of the Arts. They announced their closure in May and then closed in June. So, y'all, just tell me what you think about this story. You know, for me, I don't have anybody that goes to any of these colleges and universities, um, and I don't know what to tell you except for the fact that be on the lookout. If you go to a college and university, check out how they're doing financially. If things are looking bleak, that might be a good indicator that they may not be around for too much longer, you know? And it goes back to what I was telling you in the beginning. Many of these institutions born out of slavery are falling now. All of Catholic schooling came out of slavery, all of it, on every level. These Catholic hospitals came out of slavery, the universities, their actual Catholic church, all of this stuff came out of slavery, all of it. And it's all going to fall. Look at all the problems that's going on in that institution with the priests. And they said it's not just the priests, it's the nuns too, but they have managed to keep a lot of what these nuns are doing out of the news. And they have gone after the priests, but yeah, as you can see, they don't even put them in jail. They be out here doing stuff for decades to children and they don't even go to jail. So very few. So these institutions to me were never good in the first place. And I've heard about the Catholic schools closing. In fact, there were a few that closed around where I am. And they have always closed. Even when I was a child, I was hearing about Catholic schools in the area that were closing their doors and stuff. Now, it's not unusual to hear that. But I think the entire institution must go because of how it came about, and maybe that's what's happening to these institutions. I always believe the Heavenly Father has a hand in everything. He really does. And I believe He has a hand in all of these colleges and universities that are closing. But Y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Also in this article, it talks about how many of these students and staff members are in tears, because of the sudden closures of these institutions. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.